Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Luxie. For those of you who don't know, I'm a musician and multimedia artist, and this week I wanted to talk to you about how I self-directed a little lyric writing retreat to finish my album. I ended up with this batch of instrumentals that I really liked, and I felt it was ready to put some words onto. So I decided to pack my bags and go into the city, Milwaukee, near the lake, and rented out this little place that was super cute, and decided to set aside a block of time to finish writing some words to my songs. There are definitely other ways that you can do this, like going camping or staying at a motel, or even just setting aside some time in a room that you've kind of set up for writing specifically in order to accomplish the same thing basically. The point is to set aside a chunk of time that you can focus and work on one specific thing. So before you start, you want to set some goals. What are you trying to accomplish? For me, it was 10 to 15 pages of cohesive lyrics that I could use for my next album. I wanted to make sure it was all the same kind of vibe, the same theme, so that's why I wanted to do this all at one time. Alright, so in addition to having really clear goals set out for yourself, you want to bring the correct supplies. So I wanted to make sure that I had my favorite things, like my favorite lyric writing book, my favorite notebooks and pens, my instrumentals to listen to while writing, and my favorite foods, and anything else you need to be able to write comfortably. And yeah, so that first night I just took some time to listen to the whole album, all the instrumentals, and like dance around and have fun and really get the vibe of what I wanted it to feel like and how I wanted people to feel when they were listening to my songs. And I think that's really important to consider. And then of course I would sit down for long stretches of time just to write a few pages of just free writing. It was mostly kind of like poetry that I can shape into lyrics later, which is what I ended up doing. But the point was to just save the editing for later, just get the words out. Even if you didn't end up using them, I didn't end up using all of the pages that I came up with. And that means that I have something that I can source or look at later, perhaps. So that's cool. And overall, I wanted to make sure the process was fun. So I didn't put a ton of pressure on myself. I think that the goals that I set were very realistic in the amount of time that I had. And yeah, I just wrote whenever I felt compelled to and kind of changed up my scenery every once in a while. I found myself writing outside a lot because there's something about just being able to look up at a body of water when you're writing and thinking and just like trying to find the right word or something to come to you. But mostly I just tried to get the words out as freely and easily as possible. I didn't really think to be too, philosophical or anything. I really wrote words that came naturally to me that fit the vibe that I was feeling and going for with the music. So I ended up with some things that I'm really proud of and really happy with, and I'm excited to share. I also brought my bike so I could take some breaks outside and just ride around by the lake. I had a blast. I love these little electric bicycles. I definitely question some of the safety aspects, like I had to put it together myself and stuff. Hopefully it stays together. I'm just kidding. I'm sure it'll be fine. Mostly on this writing retreat, I wanted to set very achievable goals for myself, the 10 to 15 pages of words, which I did. And I also wanted to make sure it was a fun experience and make sure I was not forcing anything and kind of just writing really naturally. So that I believe I did, and I'm happy with what I came up with. But yeah, later on, I ended up taking the words that I wrote, and the editing process kind of came during the recording phase, like figuring out if the syllables all fit correctly and if they sound right. And although I was listening to my instrumentals a lot of the time while writing, I feel like once you're actually singing them and recording, like, it's a different feel, kind of. And I used to just write as I was recording, but I'm finding I'm writing a lot better quality lyrics if I write them ahead of time, just straight up. That is the truth. What I can come up with off the top of my head in the moment is not as good as what I'm writing ahead of time before recording. So that's kind of a lesson that I'm learning as well in my music recording process and everything. It turns out I don't like filming my beat making sessions. Like, it's not fun for me. It adds a weird pressure. Like, I can tell I'm being watched. So that's why I haven't really shared that process. But once in a while, I'll share little clips of being in my studio. Yeah, I definitely get so much fulfillment out of accomplishing these creative goals. So that's kind of why it's nice also to break them up into smaller steps, kind of. Like, I blocked together finishing the instrumentals this time and then finishing the lyrics, which I think was a really nice way to do it, and it sets more milestones for you, so there's kind of a greater sense of reward as well, which I'm not really sure how I was cranking out albums like that in the past. Maybe it's harder to write, or I just want to write better things. I think my standards of quality are probably higher. But overall, I found this to be a really great and I don't want to say easy, but it was a very smooth kind of flow and workflow for me in working on this album. And the final single is going to be out this upcoming Friday, July 25th. It's called Cherry, which also happens to be the name of the album, so I'll just announce that right now. And I will have to announce the official release date for the full album later, because I don't know what it is yet myself. Anyway, this writing retreat was very fun, very specific, geared towards lyrics. So it was a bit more, I think, I don't want to say, was it whimsical? It was definitely whimsical, I think. But I definitely want to do this again for a more serious writing session, maybe getting more into creative fiction, and creative writing in general is really fun, or it used to be really fun for me when I was growing up and as a teenager. So I definitely want to explore that again. But for now, let's recap how to do a self-directed lyric writing retreat. First, you need a change of environment. The point is to set aside a chunk of focused work time. Second, set some specific goals. What are you trying to accomplish? Make it realistic. And 3, make sure to bring the right supplies. Have your favorite books, your favorite foods, the things that you need to be comfortable to write. Try not to bring too many distractions. Those are my tips. And 4, free write for blocks of time. I changed up my environment a few times and was writing in different places. I was writing outside a lot. That was really nice for me personally, but it depends on how you work. And lastly, leave the editing until later. Just try to write as much as possible, and then you'll have a chance to go back and decide what you want to do with it. You don't have to do anything with it if you don't want to, so that's the beauty of it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it, something fun or interesting, and thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to check out my upcoming music, you can check out the links in my description. My bandcamp is up there, my Spotify, etc. And hope you have a great day.